Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, as you can tell by the title, is going to be a uni Q&A. So I have done a couple of these in the past, but I was getting quite a lot of questions about university recently because obviously there are a lot of new people starting in September who are going to have questions about what it's going to be like. So I thought I would just make a full video answering all of those questions. So yeah, I am a student at Queen's University in Belfast. I've been there, this is my 4th year now. I did my undergrad there and I am currently doing my master's, and I will be graduating in December next year. So yeah, I feel like I know a good amount about Queen's. I don't know everything about Queen's, but I know enough to share my knowledge with you guys. First up, I just want to say I'm sorry if the quality of this video isn't as good as some of my other ones. I was going to use my DSLR and then I realised that my microphone had ran out of charge and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna just have to use my vlogging camera. So that's what we're using today, and I've also come outside to film this video just because it's a beautiful sunny day and I thought, why not make the most of the sunshine, because it never happens in Northern Ireland. So without further ado, I will just get straight on into the questions. I have, I think, maybe 15 questions here. So yeah, let's just get stuck in. Okay, so question number 1 is about my personal experience at Queen's. So it is, how am I coping with the COVID-19 changes? You seem calm when I'm so stressed. So obviously uni isn't exactly what it was supposed to be at the minute because of the global pandemic. We can't go to uni, we can't go to classes because we can't be around people. So what they did, classes will have actually finished by now, but for my last few classes we had Zoom classes, which I'm not gonna lie, they weren't great. It was hard to not get distracted when a class was going on for 3 hours through Zoom, and if the connection failed or anything like that, it just wasn't ideal. But thankfully my course is quite heavily based on our own learning, like our self-learning and our own research and stuff like that, so it was kind of not too hard for me to adjust to. The classes weren't a massive essential anyway. At the end of the day, I only had about half of my classes this year between 2 strikes and the pandemic, which is very kind of frustrating, I'm not gonna lie, when you're paying so much money for a university degree. But there's nothing we can do about it. Unfortunately, the uni is covered for global pandemics apparently, so no refunds for students, which is heartbreaking, but yeah. Okay, so there's 2 different questions here, but they're both quite similar to each other. So this person asks, is there diversity in Queen's and is it student friendly? So yeah, Queen's is a super diverse university. I did English for my undergrad, so it was very much Western students, if that makes sense. There was students from mostly England and Northern Ireland and Ireland as well, because English would be our first language. So when we're studying English literature, it just makes sense that that would be a very heavily English first language dominated course, if that makes sense. But for other courses such as medicine and even my course this year, which is media, it's a lot more diverse, and yeah, there are plenty of students from all across the world at Queen's. And then answering, is it student friendly? I don't really know what you mean by this, but I assume you mean, is it like a safe place? And Belfast is super safe for students, especially around the university area. In terms of like the university being student friendly, it can be difficult to get communication from the uni sometimes, which is frustrating, but other than that, at the end of the day, like, things will get sorted, even if it sometimes can take quite a long time. Okay, so someone asked, which accommodation would you recommend? I'm afraid I can't actually answer this. It depends on what you want. So I know that if you go for university accommodation, like the ones that are run by the university, they're a bit more expensive, but your bills and all are covered. I think your heating and electricity is all covered for you, so you don't have to sort that out. But if you want cheaper accommodation and then pay your bills separately, you're better going for private. So it just kind of depends on what you want. I'm not the expert on this, but just have a look around online and you'll find some information on what you're looking. Any tips for successful essay writing? So I've actually done a full video on writing an essay. You can go and check that out. I will leave a link down below. I only did that a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, basically do your research is the main thing. I spend so much more time researching for an essay than I would writing it, and just know what you're talking about, know your argument, know the points that you want to make, and know your rough sort of paragraph structure. How do you cope with deadlines and make notes? It can be quite frustrating at university sometimes because all your deadlines can end up being in the same week. So at the minute I have 2 deadlines next week, but I've finished one of the essays and I'm just focusing on doing my last one up until that date. So when it ends up being like that, I'll set my own personal deadlines. I'll be like, I want this essay done by this date, this essay done by this date, and this essay done by basically the deadline. So it's being structured with your own timekeeping and knowing what attainable deadlines to work to for yourself are. Also, getting started on work early is super important, and giving yourself enough time to structure your essays and your arguments and just take everything in properly and get a full rounded answer, which is exactly what they're looking for. In terms of making notes, I will just search key terms from the questions. So my essay I'm doing at the minute is about satire and horror, so what I've been looking up is satire and horror basically on Google or on the Queen's Library, and then looking through the books that come up, having a quick read through them and seeing if there's anything, if they like fall into my argument, and if they don't, discard them, and if they do then I'll save them and then run through them after and take notes on them. And then my case studies for my essay are Sabrina on Netflix and American Horror Story, so then I've been looking them up and been finding, so I'll look up American Horror Story satire, American Horror Story horror, American Horror Story genre. I'll just look up different key terms and take notes that relate specifically to those terms and specifically to my essay, if that kind of makes sense. Also, in terms of making notes for that as well, I have done it into different sections. So I've got a section for American Horror Story, I've got a section for general, so like genre as a whole, and then, or like my specific genres as a whole, and then Sabrina. So then they're all separated out, and when I'm writing my specific paragraphs I know exactly where to go to get those notes from. Also, it's great to write your references as you're taking notes, because then you don't have to go and find where you got that specific quote from or that specific information from, because that's just a pain at the end of the day. Okay, so this person says, I live in England and have an unconditional offer from Queen's, but I'm really scared to move. But is it worth moving to Belfast for Queen's or somewhere closer? So I would say that's definitely personal choice. I do regret not moving away for uni because I feel like it would have been a great personal growth for myself. Living at home, I feel like I've kind of relied on my dad a lot, and now I just kind of want to go out on my own and be a lot more independent and more grown up, especially at 22 years old. So I would say if having the full like uni experience and using it as a time to develop not just in academia but also in your personal growing up, then I would say it is probably worth moving away. And why not move to Belfast? Because it's cheaper to live here than it is over in England, and it's somewhere new that you can say you've been to and gain new experiences of. Okay, so again, opinions on Queen's Halls. I can't say definitely my own opinion on this because I never lived in Queen's Halls, but I have been in Elms when I was in first year, for some of my friends lived there, and I actually really liked them. I thought it was really like nice, chic, new accommodation, very clean, and yeah, the only thing is I think they are quite expensive, but for first year I think a lot of people do find it is quite worth it because you are very much catered for in there, and it's a great way to meet people as well. So how did you decide to do a master's? So this is just like so random, but I wasn't planning on doing a master's at all. I wanted to graduate, get a job, earn money, but then I graduated and I was like, what am I actually doing? I don't know what to do next. I don't know what job I'm going to do. I was applying for a few different jobs and wasn't hearing anything back, basically because I had no practical experience. My undergrad was essay based. It was all writing. We didn't do any placement, we didn't gain any practical experience in anything, which really did hold me back a lot. So I decided to do a master's because I wanted to gain a lot more practical experience in something, give myself time to gain more experience outside of university, and also not waste the year just doing nothing. So yeah, that's why I decided to do a master's. I thought I'd try something new when it came to media, and media is something I did enjoy. So yeah, it was a very last minute decision for me, but I'm glad I did it because it has kind of shown me more of what I don't want to do than what I do want to do, if that makes sense. So this person says, how did you find the workload in uni compared to A-levels? I didn't find it a massive jump from uni, or from A-levels to uni. The only difference is it's a lot more independent in uni. It's a lot more having to form your own thoughts rather than going by the mark scheme. When you're doing A levels, you look up CA mark schemes and you just learn them off and then put them in your exam or your coursework or whatever. But at university, it's very much being nuanced and forming your own arguments and opinions and being able to justify them, completing your own research, and being a lot more your own person. It's a lot more freeing, which is quite nice, and you aren't as restricted to what you are, still restricted to what they want you to say, but not as much as you are at school. So in terms of workload, I didn't find it a massive jump, and if you're doing a subject you enjoy and enjoy researching into and finding out more about, then it isn't too hard to transition to uni. This question says, what are your plans for final year, because or for after final year, because I have no idea what to do. So my plans for next year are just to apply for as many jobs as possible. I've already started applying for loads of different ones. I personally would love to go into some form of publishing, or into, my absolute dream job would be to work in a magazine. I would not like a gossip magazine, but somewhere like Condé Nast. That is my absolute goal. Somewhere, I love reading their film reviews and I love their television reviews. I've used a lot of them for actually my degree course this year, and that was kind of what like made me lean towards that, because reading them was very similar to what I was doing in my essays, and it was essays I was really enjoying. So I was like, that seems like very much my niche and something I would like to get into. I also love writing about just lifestyle and travel and stuff like that, and Condé Nast is obviously the perfect place for that. And obviously, as you can see through blogging, it's very much in a similar sort of vein to blogging, but it's just a lot more polished. And yeah, I would love to work for somewhere like Grazia, any of the Condé Nast magazines really. So this person says, I am curious about ways to look for off-campus housing with other students. Is there an app or a Facebook group? There are actually a lot of Facebook groups. You can look up Queen's University Belfast Freshers and then put in the year, so this would be 2020 to 2021, and I'm sure a lot of groups will come up. People post in there saying, looking for someone, looking for a housemate, looking for a house. You just post in there and put in like your email address, or like add me on Facebook, send me a DM, whatever, and you'll get loads of responses. Also, people put in there, that's how I met a lot of people on my own course, because people were putting in, is anybody going to study English and history, and then you just reply yes and you'll get added into a group chat, and then you'll get chatting to a load of different people in your course. Also a great place to buy books. So yeah, definitely check out Facebook groups. That was how I got to know people at uni, definitely. So what are the popular places to go out near the campus? Bars, shopping centres, etc. So shopping centres would definitely be Victoria Square. It's the closest one to the university. There's also Boucher Road. It's a bit further out, but also very good. They would be probably the main ones, and then obviously just Belfast city centre. Bars would be like Parlour, Limelight. Where else really popular for students? Weatherspoons. We all love a spoons on a Friday night or whatever. Somewhere cheap to go. Where else? The Speakeasy, which is in the Students' Union. I am not a massive one for going out, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about this, but yeah, I feel like they would be the main ones that people would go to. Is it common to do weekends in other countries or travel? This is the last question, by the way. Is it common to do weekends in other countries or travel like that whilst in school, like heading to London for 4 days? 100%. I spent a lot of my final year travelling. I went to... where all did I go? I went to Greece just before I went back. Then at Christmas I went to London and Paris. And then in April we went to Florence. May, Budapest. June... no, May, London, June, Budapest, and then this year I also went to Edinburgh and Portugal just before I went back. So yeah, definitely common to go travelling. You get super cheap flights from Belfast. Obviously at the minute, I don't know what the state of travel will be within the next few months, but normally travel to other places in Europe, other places in the UK, down south also is a great place to travel, just get a train to Dublin. So yeah, it's super common to travel while you're at uni. So yeah, that is all of the questions that you guys sent in. I hope this was helpful. If you have any more, don't hesitate to leave them down below and I will get back to you. I can film as many more of these videos as you would like. I'm sorry it was quite short, and I'm sorry if it's not the best quality, but it was a bit rushed today. I'm filming it and uploading it tonight, but I hope you kind of got some answers to your questions. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I'll see you soon for a brand new vlog. Bye!